What's going on, everybody? Dogman in here, Warframe, and we're going to talk about the OHMA today for me. And I want to conclude my setups in here, just so you can see what I've come up with. So we'll stay tuned on that part. So let's kind of just talk about the basics here. You know, it's corpus-built Tonfas. They are pretty cool. They've got a really nice slam attack with the electricity arc that comes out of them, electrocuting nearby enemies. Not too horrible in terms of building. You can buy it for 200 platinum. The blueprint is 55k. You know, it's going to cost you a little bit of resources. Nitan, our favorite thing to get this bad boy built, if you will. It is a electric-based weapon. Pretty high, highest base damage of all Tonfas, if you will. Effective, definitely against the robotics. Because these are the basics that everybody should know about by this time. Slide damage is insane on this. Status chance is insane. Critical chance is pretty good. If you want to build for critical, you're welcome to. You guys probably know I'm pretty much building status-wise. Comes with a V and a dash slot, and also the Sovereign Outcast is what matches this. You can use the other Tonfa stance if you like. Of course, it doesn't match it, so you have to, use Forma to match it. Blah blah blah. But Gemini Cross would still work just fine. The damage, of course, we can't increase by physical mods because it's not that type of weapon. So you don't have your basic physical damage mods in here. But that's perfectly fine. If we're building for things like status chance, you're not going to really need to use those basics anyway. The slam attack has a really good radius, like 8 meters or something like that, 8.5 meters. It's not affected by any type of range mods or nothing, so it's just a standard, and it has a chance to get that electricity proc in pretty much every time. So there's some really, really nice things about this weapon. Now, saying that, the Sovereign Outcast, many people have talked about this, and I think it's a pretty decent stance. I like it. I understand when you're looking at it initially that seemingly the first stance, the first combo, seems to be very slow in terms of how the combo comes out. So it seems to hit slow, and then after that it gets much faster. It alters the quick attacks in here. And pretty much all of your attacks, your extra attacks, your secondaries, thirds, fourth, whatever, are all spinning style attacks. So since this weapon does do heavy spin damage, it actually works out very well. You just have to get through that first combo, which can be slow. But once you're through that first combo, you can stay easily inside the other ones and just work it and make it work well. So there is that. Of course, as Kuva heavy gunners, you got to try to find that stance. Extremely rare to get it. Not an easy thing. So overall, I really enjoy this. Let me go ahead and get you over to my setup here, so that way you can see the different types of things that you can do with this weapon. Okay, so let's look at the OHMA. Now, there's a few ways you could do this, obviously. Okay. You know, it's going to depend a lot, too, on stances. The Gemini Cross versus Sovereign Outcast, which, of course, I'm using Sovereign Outcast, and I happen to have 2 now. But they are not an easy grind to get to, just as FYI. Again, Kuva Fortress and the Kuva Heavy Gunners are the ones that drop it. Very, very rare. But so there's a few ways you could easily build this, and I would say that the majority of people are going to just simply go straight up for damage. And let me tell you, I could sit here for days on end showing you these damage numbers, just playing around with things over and over. As you can see right here, we're talking with an 84% status chance, utilizing the Virulent Scourge, Voltaic Strike, and Volcanic Edge. That gives me an 84% status chance, which is perfectly fine. You're going to get enough status proccing out of this anyway. Obviously, it's a status weapon. We're adding Fever Strike in there, which is going to give us even more. So I mean, and the way it works, the combo, I mean, I could pretty much here, I could do this just so it doesn't confuse people into figuring out how I did that. But anyway, so Virulent Scourge, Voltaic Strike, Fever Strike on here with the Corrosive 1131. We're using Molten Impact, Volcanic Edge to get the heat up to 547. It's a combo that I like. 84% status chance, including the Spoiled Strike with the Prime Pressure Point maxed out. We're getting 10,000 spin damage, 6,700 wall, and leap attack at 33,858. Now also keep in mind that the leap attack is, it's kind of like when you leap and jump, it works great. And yeah, you could utilize in terms of critical chance as well, but we're just looking at some of these damage numbers, and there's a million ways you can add these damage numbers. And now Sovereign Outcast is all about sweeping, spinning attacks. So this spin attack damage is insanely overpowered. Yeah, at the same time, Sovereign Outcast does have the first attack that it does is a little bit slower than what most people are accustomed to. But I can understand the offset based off of how much, attack you're about to hit. So I could see where you kind of like, yeah, you can back and forth on this, right? But this is probably where most people ended up with doing something similar to this, I would think, where they just utilize as much in terms of damage as you possibly can. And that's perfectly fine. You can build it that way. However, I think that this is something that needs to be kind of out of the box. Okay, so let me just go ahead and come back out of here for a second. We have to think out of the box on this. We have a huge opportunity to make something extremely different, extremely powerful, but extremely different. And so it took me a little bit of time to figure some stuff out and play around with things. And I recently used the sorting missions to test this out for me, for my play style, of course. And so this is how I end up, okay? This is 0 forma, so keep that in mind, all right? Okay, the numbers are not significantly huge here, but we're not using Spoiled Strike, so we get a 133 on our attack speed, and that's because my Prime Fury is only at 45% instead of 55%. I don't really have the stuff to max it up, don't really need to max it at this point. I put Drifting Contact here on the dash polarity because it's one that would give me the least negative and allows me to keep working with everything. We're going to still working Sovereign Outcast. We're going to use Virulent Scourge, Voltaic Strike. Of course, for our Corrosive, which is only 583, which is still significant. We're utilizing the Volcanic Edge for the heat, and I like that combination. Always have, you guys know that. Prime Pressure Point, of course, Prime Fury for the speed. But here's where we're looking at it, and you're just like, well, okay, what do you got going on here? So there's a few things, right? So, Drifting Contact. It increases my combo duration by 10 seconds. It's perfect for me to keep comboing the move over and over, and the better your combos, the more damage you're dealing. You get a 40% status chance. So you add this with that 40% status chance, you're looking at 96% status chance. Now, there's two other things you can use. Actually, there's a few other things you could use, okay? Let's just look at some of these mods that are probably not utilized a lot. So, I immediately thought Condition Overload was a beautiful thing because I'm doing a plus 60 damage for every status type affecting the target. I've got 2 status types affecting the target. I'm going to hit that status almost every single time I'm going to be proccing, okay? So, I'm getting a plus 60 melee damage, or plus 60% melee damage on top of what you're seeing here, so plus 60% of the base melee damage, right? I'm able to keep my duration going, and then, what the hell? Enduring Affliction. Why not? 150% status duration on the hit. So now I keep the status on the enemy if I don't kill them right away, if these are the higher level ones, we're talking the really high level ones. Eximus sometimes. You keep them on the status. You're doing extra damage. You've got the combo going. You see how this is all working out to, I don't have to have 10,000 plus damage to be able to actually do the damage utilizing these extra mods that we have available. Now there's other things that you can do as well. And I encourage you guys to try something different. That's what I always have done. There is also this one here, Healing Return, that I maxed out. It's a plus 16, but I maxed out. um, plus 11 healing automatically when you hit a target affected by status chance. And that could work into this as well, depending upon how you want to do it. So it took me a little while to set this up, and I know it's probably not what everybody's thinking, but I challenge you to try it and see. And I think you're going to find that it actually is very, very good, even on the higher levels of the sorties. It is phenomenal. Of course, I'm saying that based off of my playstyle. It may not work for you, but it is options that are out there. These things that we always forget that are there, these new mods that are available. I mean, we're increasing status duration. We're increasing our melee damage based off the status hit on the targets. I've got 2 statuses that are going to hit almost 100% of the time in terms of procs. I'm increasing my duration with 1 mod. In terms of combos, higher combo, more damage. It just all works out smoothly. I could sit here and run these high level numbers, 10,000 plus, and there is nothing wrong with running it this way. But why not do something slightly different? Sure, the numbers don't seem as high here, but in the end, when you're talking all about status, and that's what this is, it's a status build, you're going to work out just fine. Anyway, comments, questions below. I'll catch you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in.